There is often a kind of a saying in general that clothes really do not matter. But how often you have realized that this very phrase or this attitude is really wrong in terms of professional attitude, in terms of communication, or if you're venturing into a career which is into teaching or training. So, to talk a little bit more about how our clothes and attire are really important, today we have with us someone very important. The speaker is coming from a corporate background. She has been into finance professional for 2 decades with experiences in banking and hospitality sectors. She has also been an image consultant, having dealt with image management services, and is currently is one of the senior trainers of Asian College of Teachers. Let me take this honor to invite Mithul Mukherjee Sengupta to a warm welcome from Asian College of Teachers to this very special show on how clothes really matter in terms of attitude and building up a person's personality.
Thank you, Shaunak, for having me here as the guest speaker today. Uh, this is a very important topic and very relevant for in today's times and in all spheres of life.
Right. So, to the speaker, to the viewers who are watching this YouTube live, as you know, for the students and for the entire fraternity of teachers, we come every month with a new kind of a topic which would enrich you in understanding the industry and help you tune up your career in a better fashion. So, remember that today's topic is clothing as a communication tool. So I would like to, ask the very first question to Mithul ma'am, is that as we talk it as in terms of communication as a tool, so how can, this clothing actually changes the mindset of people? If you can just give us some hint on that.
Yes, yes. So, Shaunak, we frequently encounter the clothes don't matter kind of an attitude. Okay, so this attitude is appropriate during times of emergencies or natural disasters, those times when we can be concerned only about survival and couldn't care less how we look or about the brand or the aesthetics and the individuality of clothing. But even in best of times, trends and brand name seldom matter. What matters is as we go about our daily lives and activities in homes, workplaces, and communities, we have to wear something. So, why not we wear something which would make a positive difference in our lives? So, therefore, the question of how can we change the mindset of people that would that to answer that we have to rely on clothing as a resource, a tool that you can control and use to help meet your needs and your achieve your goals. For example, when people realize that clothing affects the way we think, feel, act, and others how they react to you, they can use their clothing as a resource to help them reach their goals and take them where they need to go. How can this be done? So let's contemplate on the various levels of the self. Okay, I'm going to take you through the various levels of the self. Self image or self concept is how you perceive the combination of all your characteristics, your physical self, including your body image, your psychological or mental self, including your values, attitude, personality, talent, abilities, your social self, including the roles and the occasions. So, therefore, in a nutshell, it is a mental picture about your inner self and your outer self. This can be positive, this can be negative, this can be accurate, this can be inaccurate. So, your self image determines your clothing choices, consistent with your self image and flattering to your body image. Okay, so therefore, yes, Shona, continue.
Yeah, so what you told, this is very relevant because in our placement webinars and when students are going for interviews, it becomes very important for the students to dress up properly. As you have been telling that it becomes a part of your image. So yes, I can very relate very well that somebody who is always not well dressed or coming with shabby cheeks, in case that it doesn't really look good, and you also do not possibly perform in an interview properly if you're not well dressed. So
Yes,
I think
yes,
we're
yes,
talking of that. That is what is called a biofeedback. You receive a kind of a positive feedback from yourself when you
yes,
dress it well.
yes. So therefore, clothing actually becomes part of your body image. Okay,
Right.
encasing your body and functioning much like a second skin, establishing new physical boundaries for yourself. Okay, if there is an incorrect assessment of your physical, psychological, or social self, your clothing and grooming choices will give wrong signals, confusing both you and the others. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example. The person who is objectively aware of of the larger body bulges in his body is more likely to select sufficiently loose fitting clothing that would skim over the body easily for an attractive appearance, in compared to a person who does not perceive their overweight appearance and may naively select clothing sizes which are too small, so thereby drawing attention to every body bulge, which then can be distracting. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that clothing should be decided as per your body image. Okay, then often there is a question that comes in as to how can I fit in. This is a very relevant question. How can I fit in?
Yeah,
Now,
that was
often,
exactly what I was willing to ask you. That how do I fit in? This is often a question which is asked. So yes,
yes, yes. So often people adopt trendy or stereotyped appearance to fit in or get accepted in certain forums. But the looks do not reflect their own values, probably their personalities, capabilities, or roles. Now, adopting these looks may attract attention or help them to fit in somewhat, but it also stimulates thoughts and feelings and actions which are not in the best of interest of the person, or consistent with what actually that person is. So therefore, from this, we this actually leads us to the idea of self esteem. Self esteem, the word self esteem means how you feel about yourself, general feelings, and a sense of self worth based on the self image and the amount of esteem people have for you. A negative body image or self image combined with negative response from others can lower the self esteem. Okay, a person with lower self esteem can learn to use clothing to counter a negative trait or to improve or enhance appearance and thus raise self esteem. So, clothes can counter that image, and in fact, anyone can use clothing to enhance appearance and boost self esteem. Results are immediate. Okay. Um, we see elderly people around us. Now elderly bodies tend to lose their muscle tone and the firmness of the firm shape of youth. Now wise clothing selection can immediately camouflage these changes and help raise the self esteem, boost self esteem, and thereby boost self confidence also. Okay, so again another. Yes, you are on mute.
oh yes, sorry. So this actually this is something very important. So those viewers who are listening, you can now understand that why, in case of interviews, other the trainers as well as I myself, I stress much on the clothing part. How will you wear? Even the posture. How will you sit and how will you talk, etc. So my next question is that so clothing is needed only to boost image, but it is also something which helps in confidence building and it helps you to achieve the goals. So if that is so, if you can just put some inputs on that.
Of course, it helps in enhancing the confidence. So, what is confidence? What is self-confidence, rather? Since we are discussing about the different developmental levels of the self, what is self-confidence? Self-confidence is the belief, the trust, and the reliance on yourself, your appearance, your skill, and abilities. Therefore, appearance, I keep coming back to this. Appearance plays an important role in developing self confidence. It increases when you know how to use your clothing to help develop, maintain, and modify your appearance according to your needs. Therefore, we can say that we are actually the external is getting internalized. We when we know how to use clothing effectively, smartly, we are actually internalizing the external. Okay, how is it done? uh, Shonak, you would be able to relate to this, I'm very sure. If you give a jersey to a young boy of his favorite football team and you make him play football, okay, what happens? What happens? His, his,
Entire
there's a
body language and the
body,
confidence and
everything
everything
changes.
changes.
There is a
Right.
there is a boost up of the self image. There's a strengthening of the self confidence. It brings in a sense of belonging. I belong to that team. Okay, and therefore I need to play well for the team, because it's after all the a prestigious matter that I have got to wear the jersey of that particular team, and so mentally, physically, he becomes part of that team. So therefore, self-esteem goes up. Okay, so therefore, self-confidence gives rise to self-competence also. Self competence, when you are confident in your talent, skill, your competency, you can think of moving ahead to reinforce that confidence with proper selection of clothes. Okay, so when you have selected proper clothes, you can feel more confident in taking up projects, in working with people, in behaving professionally in workplaces, and behaving appropriately in all other spheres of life. So dress brings that, and dress can be both comfortable, casual, business-like, dressy, depending on the occasion, depending on the setting. You can invest in clothing for the life you live, as well for the life you want to live. Okay, so this is an investment. Clothing can be an investment, a very necessary investment.
Absolutely. So that actually brings to my next question, that clothing, as you're telling, directly affects the way we think, the way we feel, etc. So the question is that, is the effect of clothing universal? If you can just tell on something on that.
Of course, clothing is, it's universal, because clothing. When we are talking of clothing, we are not we are there is a uh, need for clothing in every sphere. So it is a basic human need. It could be a physical need, it could be a psychologically, it could be needed socially, aesthetically, everywhere, isn't it? So why physical? Physical is in terms of survival, protection, safety. Psychological is your mental health and psychological comfort or security. Clothing functions as a second skin. I told you, clothing is a second skin or an extension of yourself. Clothing needs can be social in terms of acceptance and belonging, appropriateness, modesty, restraint, everything. So a single piece of clothing can meet a single need, or it can have multiple need, and the result is at once. You get to see the result at once. So therefore, yes, clothing has an universal effect. Okay, in terms of it is a tool for non-verbal communication. The understanding of this non-verbal tool of communication would help make wise decisions about clothing selection. Yes, verbal communication is to do with your words and sounds, but your non-verbal communication occurs through sight and touch. It is silent, it is more of visual, it's a visual communication. So your visual image, personal appearance or self presentation communicate to one and all within you as well as to yourself. So therefore, you cannot, for any point of time, you cannot not communicate. You are always communicating something. Your clothes make a statement without saying a word. Your clothes speak before you actually have spoken. So there is a constant communication happening through your clothing. Okay, so we can say we are what we wear. We can
Absolutely.
always sum it up that way, that we are what we wear.
So, what would be your advice, Mithul ma'am, to our students who are, going as teachers? Because we have teachers, we have corporate trainers also who are graduating from Asian College of Teachers. So, what would you advise them when they go for an interview?
So they need to dress up professionally. They would not send wrong signals. They, like I said, clothing is, the selection of clothing is decided as per the role you are playing, as per the occasion, the setting, everything. You, anytime, if it is a professional field where we are talking of, we need to dress up professionally. We will only dress up with there should be the kind of role that I am going to fulfill. I would always suggest that you dress up according to that, and the goals, the objective of what you are going to achieve, that is also important. You need to keep that in mind. What am I going to achieve? Where am I going? What is the purpose of my going there and doing what? Okay, so I need to keep that in mind. Thereby the selection of clothing gets easy, and I will always try to portray something that I which I am, my goals, my values, my my purpose, everything have to get reflected through your clothing. I will not try to portray something which I am not, because, like I said, it gives negative signals. It confuses the others, and it confuses us also, ourselves also.
Absolutely. So, thank you very much for enlightening us with such valuable information. I don't think we have any questions for today's session because you have been, explaining it quite vividly, quite clearly. So that was Mithun Mukherjee Sengupta joining live with us, enhancing our skills on knowing what a person would wear. Kanta Keshwani is telling, fully agreed, ma'am, self concept to be presented into full potential. So that is wonderful. And thank you for being with us and enriching us with something very important, clothing as a communication tool. Uh, any last point you would like to add, ma'am?
I Before I sign off, there is also another aspect which is also important to know. This is another angle, actually, you can say. There is something called yin and yang to clothing. Yin and yang are Chinese concepts which they denote opposing characteristics, opposing traits in nature. Yin refers to something like subordinate, receding, receptive, approachable trait. Yang, on the other hand, represents advancing, assertive, and authoritative traits. So your clothing will can also reflect the yin and yang, the concepts, okay? Because yin is more gentle, more softer, whereas yang is more strength. It shows more strength and vigor. So therefore, it applies to both men and women. Also, there could be yang women and yin men also. Okay, so this depends on the occasion and situation. We need to understand where the yang and where the yin would come in. So depending on the situation, the occasion, the role, the setting that we are in, our choice of clothing would also be based on yin and yang concept. Okay, there would be times when we would have to dress up very formally with collars, with shirts, professional look, that gives us a look of strength. that portrays an image of strength and assertive and and very professional. It's very professional. So that's that young characteristic. But at other times, in an informal setting, supposing we are at home or we are at friends, we can dress more softly in flowing uh, clothes, informal, which gives the look of an informal setting, and which kind of brings out a gentleness through the clothing that you are wearing. So therefore, yang is in a professional setting, and in an informal friendly setting. So these looks are, looking good isn't necessarily being, you are necessarily, it's about vanity. It is a necessity. It's not about vanity, it is a necessity. So a positive personal appearance is not an end in itself. You can consider it as an important attribute, but it is not an end in itself. So my approach to clothing is not about fashion, it is about functionality. Okay, we need to think about functionality. It is about how you present your personal style and self concept, self esteem, and self confidence. That's all
Thank you
clothing
very much.
is.
Yeah, that was wonderful. So, thank you for your time, Mithul ma'am, and it was really a wonderful session. We learned a lot. So, this is Shaunak signing off from Asian College of
Thank
Teachers,
you, Sean.
and yeah, we wish that viewers really. I hope that the viewers really enjoyed it, and we will be back again with another YouTube live. And from Asian College and the entire family of Asian College, thank you very much, Mithul ma'am, for your time, patience, and for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Shona. Thank you.
Thank you.